Hi everyone, it's Monica, and welcome back to Tailor-Made Cards for You. Well, today I'm here to introduce to you my latest passport kit, and this is called Passport to Freedom. Now, I didn't have an official release on this kit because I've given my design team a break for the summer, but I definitely wanted to get at least some sort of military or 4th of July passport kit out there to give you guys some options for some of your crafting. Now, one of the things that I wanted to do with this particular kit was not necessarily make it a 4th of July kit, but more of an American USA kit. And then that way you can use it not only for the 4th of July, but you could also use it for some of your Memorial Day cards, as well as maybe some military birthdays. I know that there's a lot of military people out there, and it's just so fun to be able to create for them, especially using some of our USA inspiration ephemera. So that's what I'm going to share with you today is my kit. Now, in all of my kits, you're going to get 4 pages. You're going to get a page of ephemera. You're going to get a page that has the image to create your passport base. And then you're going to get 2 pieces of digital background paper. Now, this American flag here, I actually created by hand because I wanted it to be perfectly sized. In a lot of the images that I found, I would have to manipulate them too much, so I created this American flag. And again, you don't necessarily have to create a passport card. You can create all sorts of projects using this kit. Now, one thing that I did when I was cutting out my ephemera is I did use some of my fancy cutters to create some edges around some of these postal stamps just to make them look a little bit more authentic. Now, the 2 pieces that you're going to need for your base of your card is this big American flag, and you're going to score it at 2 3/4, and you want to make sure that the paper is face down. And then you're going to go ahead and shift it to the right after you score it, I guess. You're going to shift it to the right, and then you're going to score at the 3.5 mark. And then that rectangular piece that you've scored right there is what you're going to be cutting out to create your little trifold. So after you cut out the rectangular piece, you're going to want to go ahead and put it aside so you can work on your second page. Now, I designed the kit so that the God Bless America is your second page, but you don't necessarily have to use this. You could easily cut down some of the other cardstock. And as you can see on the left hand side, I did leave some white showing because that music sheet, it goes right up to the notes, and I didn't necessarily want to cut off the notes, so just leave a little bit on your left hand side to be able to score it so you'll have a fold over. And that score line is somewhere between 3/4 and 1 inch. And then as I go along, I do use my chomper to round my edges. Now, one thing you're going to notice if you've purchased some of my other passport kits is the American flag is not exactly sized to the passport card. And this was intentional. I wanted to give you as much of a surface to work with. So if you wanted to create other designs, you had a nice big American flag. So you may have to trim it down just a bit. Typically, my cards are going to be an A2 card. So anywhere between 5.5 and 4 1/4, maybe a little bit smaller, but that's typically the size that I work with for my passport base. But just go ahead and trim it down to the size that you need, and make sure that you are taking into consideration your second page. If you want your second page to be a little bit taller, a little bit shorter, or even a little bit towards the inside, more to have more of that back flap showing. So just make sure that when you are putting the card together, you are taking that into consideration. Okay, so once you're ready to adhere your second page, all you need to do is add some adhesive to that flap that you scored and add it to the second page. And make sure that you are giving enough room for your card to close. You don't want to put it right on that score line because then you may have difficulty closing your card. And then if you've seen some of my other passport kit videos before, I used to trim down this paper that I'm adhering right now. But I have found I can just easily add some adhesive and plop down my paper and then just cut around it. And it works great. It's a lot faster. You don't have to worry about measuring it out. And that way you can go ahead and just put your adhesive and add your designer paper and then round your corners. And I did that also for the left-hand side of the second page as well. I just added my adhesive to my white space, and then I added my cardstock, and then I cut around it. Now, if you're one of those crafters that like to pre-cut your paper and measure it out, that's how I used to do it. So there's nothing wrong with that, especially if you want to have a little white edge, because when you're doing it this way, you're not going to get any white edge. You're going to get it exactly measured against your page. So if you do want to measure it out, feel free. You can definitely do that as well. And again, after I have it adhered, I'm just cutting off the excess against the measured card, and then I'm going to round my corners. And then this is a good time to go ahead and get out some of your distress ink if you want to distress your edges. Typically, I'm going to use walnut stain for my edges because I like it to be a little bit darker, but another color that you can use, of course, is your vintage photo. And I just use this little dauber. I have it right on my desk because I use this ink a lot. And I just get my dauber and I just edge my card along with the walnut stain. Now for the last page, you are going to go ahead and need to measure it out because we're going to add a pocket. And you need to have the pocket adhered before you actually add the back page. So you're going to want to measure your back page to see exactly how much you're going to need to cut off. And again, remember, I didn't size this particular kit exactly, so you're going to need to measure depending on how you cut your card. And then just cut the back piece. Typically, I'll measure it and I'll cut about 1/4 of an inch less because, again, I don't want it to the flap to be in the way when I'm actually folding it. So I do want it to be a little bit smaller than the actual back page. And then once I get that cut out, then I'm going to cut the pocket, which is about 2 inches tall. And then again, the length of, or excuse me, the width of your back page. Now, when you're adhering your pocket, one thing I'm going to recommend is that you do use some really strong adhesive. For my pocket, I never use my ATG gun because I just don't think that the tape is strong enough for a pocket. Because remember, your pocket is going to be housing your ephemera, and that ephemera is going to be taken in and out, and you just want to make sure that your pocket is secure. So I always use the Redline tape when I'm adding pockets, and you can get this in various sizes. I'm using the thinner tape, so that way I have as much pocket as possible, but they do have it and thicker tape as well. And then I'm just using my We Are Memory Keepers pick to pull off the backing of the tape so I can adhere it to my cardstock. Now here's the trick that I was talking about when I said I'm going to give you another tip on how to secure your pocket. I like to add washi tape to the edge of my pocket. And not only does it help secure my pocket just a little bit more, but it also adds some nice interest to your pocket. So if you have some designer washi tape that will work well with your kits, I recommend just adding a piece across the top. Make sure you have enough to fold around the edges because that's what's going to hold it down, and just add that one extra piece. And then you're ready to adhere your back panel to your passport card. All right, so once you have your card together, now the fun begins because you can actually decorate it. And there's a decision you're going to need to make first and foremost. You're going to need to decide what you want to put on the front of your card. Now for my card, I went with the Over There music sheet along with that little military guy. But you can certainly use the Liberty Bell, and there's some other pieces you probably could use as well. But I really like the look of the Over There along with that little military guy because I really think it sets the tone for the card. So you're going to want to do that first because once you start decorating your passport card, you may use up some of the ephemera that you wanted to use for the top of your card. So make that decision first. And then once you have that out of the way, it's just about adding some tucks on some of the pages or adding some of the ephemera glued down. Just kind of decorate it as you'd like. I don't typically glue down a lot of the ephemera to my book because I like to have it loose. And this is another thing as well. You could easily give the base book to somebody with all of the ephemera in the pocket, and then they can decorate it exactly how they want it. So that's an idea as well. But like I said, in this particular kit, I gave you a lot of USA ephemera that you can work with. I gave you some postal stamps. I gave you a Liberty Bell. I gave you a little Western Union telegram, which is really, really cute. I gave you a couple of the airmail ephemera pieces as well. So there's a lot to work with in this kit, and you can certainly decorate it up so many different ways. Now, as I said, you can easily add tucks to your little card. And the tucks are great because maybe you don't want to necessarily glue down your pieces of ephemera, but you definitely want to add some design or color to your pages. So you can easily add some little tucks, which I'm going to be doing now. And a little tuck is exactly like I said. It's just a small piece of your paper. And you want to probably find contrasting paper. And then you're going to just get some of that Redline adhesive and put it to one side. Now, I also like to round my corners, so you can or you don't have to do that, but I think it's a nice finish. So I'll take my chomper and I'll round it, and then I'll add the adhesive to the left side of the striped paper, and I'll add it as a tuck. Now, for these little tucks, the little airmail postal stamp was perfect, so I just went ahead and I added that on. And you can or do that, or it's not necessary. Again, it's completely your choice. But these little tucks are simple to do. And then that way you can take some of your ephemera and add them to the small and the medium page. That way all of it's not stuck in the pocket. Okay, so as I finish up the card here, I want to go ahead and let you know a couple of things. Now, this kit is now available in my shop, and I will leave a link below so you can grab it if you'd like. Now, I know that there's only a couple of weeks left until the 4th of July, and that doesn't leave a lot of time for crafting your projects. So I went ahead and I discounted my kit down 10%. Ordinarily, I wouldn't do that on a new release, but I did come out with this kit rather late, so I want to go ahead and give you an incentive to grab it, even though you only have a couple of weeks left for your 4th of July crafting. But like I said, this kit will work not only for the 4th of July, but all of your USA themed cards. I'm also working on a Christmas in July series for next month, so I'm going to be doing Christmas videos all month long. So this probably will be the last video that I do this month, but I will start with a Christmas series starting on July the 1st. So as always, I'll leave a list of all the products that I've used to create the card along with the links to the store. If you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button before you head out. Also, I do have a membership over on my website where I do sometimes give away some of my free digitals, so you're going to want to check that out as well. All right, everybody, thanks so much for stopping by, and we'll see you again next time.